My name is Lauren Arena. I am an executive editor with the BTN Group, and I will be moderating this discussion. I have three esteemed panelists joining me on stage. I would like for each of you to very briefly introduce yourselves, your company, and what you do. Perhaps, Martin, I'll start with you over on the far end, and we'll work our way back.
So thank you very much, Lauren, and thanks very much for the opportunity to be here today. So Martin Jagers, I've been in this industry for 30 years and just a quick background, TMC, airline, car rental, payment solutions, expense management solutions, and procurement solutions. So I've been had the privilege of working across APJ and setting up businesses for the past 20 to 30 years. So really privileged to be here. So I am the Vice President for Emburse, Asia Pacific and Japan. And Emburse is the leading travel and expense management solution provider. And we're having some great success, not only in global scale, and I'll talk more about some of the AI elements of what we're doing, but we are launching our footprint inside Asia Pacific effectively now. And we're really excited to be here in Singapore as we continue to grow our investment in this region. So.
Thanks, Martin.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Amazing career, very long. I'm Thomas Lempart, and I flew in from beautiful city of Berlin. My career went from supplier, hotel chains, through middlemen until travel management for various companies, from regional to global roles. And right now I'm managing procurement category, subcategory, which is buying channels within Accenture, one of the largest travel programs on the planet, with 350,000 travelers, active travelers. So yeah, that's me.
Great.
Hi everyone, my name is Apurva Goswami. I'm the CTO for Asia PAC with CTM. I've been in travel industry for almost 18 plus years. Started my career with OTAs, Expedias and local brands like What If and lastminute.com. Then kind of came into the corporate that I've kind of moved around with the wholesale, and then kind of jumped around with superannuation and finance industry just to get a flavor of. I'm a technologist at the core heart, so I like technology, so I just like to get experience around other industries' domain and what problem they're trying to solve. My role at CTM is about understanding customers' problem in terms of understanding their travel program, what they are going through, and see how we can build a digital and technology solution around that. So I'm based in Sydney, Australia, lovely city. Pretty sure you guys have been there. If not, welcome at some time.
Wonderful. Thank you. And you may have noticed we do have one panelist who is missing. That is Pratik Modi, based in India. He's the founder and CEO of Product Squad. Sadly, he had some visa issues, so he's not here with us today. He consults TMCs about their use of AI, and I do have some of his comments that I will share on his behalf and put to our panel. I would also encourage all of you to raise your hands throughout the session. I will take some pauses for you to do so. But if any of our panelists say something particularly intriguing and you have a question that just can't wait, raise your hand. We do have roaming microphones, and we will ensure that this is quite interactive. But to kick us off, AI in action, what we're hoping to do in the next 56 minutes, as I can see on the clock, is really cut through some of the noise and talk about some actual use cases today. And hopefully you can take away some tips and tricks in understanding the realities of what you can do right now. And it really seems that AI is everywhere when we're looking at corporate travel, meetings and events. If any of you joined us in the previous session, the Innovation Face-Off, we had 5 very interesting companies present their innovations. 4 out of the 5 were focused on AI. So that's a really nice kick-off point for us and for our discussion. So perhaps, Thomas, I wanted to ask you, from the buyer's perspective, how do you see this landscape evolving when you're looking at AI in corporate travel?
my head is still buzzing after the face-offs and all of those AI shiny new things which are emerging, which is really great, and it's really good to see that there is more and more new stuff which are bringing enhancements to our travel programs. Right now, for me, how I see uh, what is the hype and what is actually the AI which is working for us. We have to remember that AI, which is previously known as automations,
Correct.
are with us for many years. Is it reshopping? Is it usage of unused tickets? Disruption management? So all that stuff, they are there, they are working, and this is great. As long as AI automations do not require from the travelers to drastically change their behavior, this is a good direction in my opinion. And when there is this drastic change of behavior, this is like kind of that disturbs me
Right.
a little bit.
Right. Yeah. And I know that Accenture has implemented a series of AI tools very recently. We will dive into that shortly. But before we do, Martin, I wanted to get your take on how you see this landscape evolving, and perhaps an additional question: what clients are actually using when it comes to AI versus perhaps what they might be asking for.
Yeah, well, first of all, I love Thomas's perspective because there's a lot of good technology that we have available to us at the moment that's not being fully utilized. And it was in the form of automation.
Right.
Right. So really AI to cut through the noise, and the way that we think about it and the way I personally think about it is, how do you further enhance what you're already doing? Yes, we can reimagine what we're doing, but we shouldn't be reinventing everything what we're doing because the word AI is introduced. So to simplify it, it really should, how do you achieve greater outcomes with what you already have? And that's how we look at it. So we're looking at the process and saying, where does AI play an active role in eliminating more time? Where does AI play an active role on enhancing the compliance? Where does AI play more role in helping negotiations of supplier and vendors? Where does AI play a more role in enhancing a partnership with the CTM? Right, and that's how we think about creating no noise and then creating what we classify as how do we achieve greater outcomes. The two stats I'll share on the client side.
Yeah, please.
And without going into specifics of any direct clients, and we've got great clients here in Singapore using our platform, is there's two primary focus points that have been elevated by AI. And the first one is our clients are seeing 70% further reduction in time spent in the travel and expense report process. That is time savings that we can use to achieve other greater outcomes, right? It's not necessarily eliminating of time of process in relation to human headcount, but it's actually giving those headcount more ability to create more value inside your organization, up to 70% more through AI. The other side that we actually really focus on is compliance. And compliance is a big word. It's not just the word compliance, because it could be vendor compliance, it could be audit compliance, it could be finance, it could be legislation compliance. But our clients are seeing upwards of 90% greater compliance of where we're entering AI into the process. And we'll probably talk more about what that looks like. Mm-hmm. But they're two stats I'd love you to think about on how do we achieve greater outcomes, and those 70% less time spent on the process and 90% upwards of greater compliance because of AI.
Great. Thanks, Martin. Apurva, what is your take on this? How is AI evolving from the TMC perspective? What is it helping you achieve? And are you able to perhaps kind of make those efficiency gains that we hear a lot about and revert that saving onto your clients?
Definitely. No, thank you. First of all, I agree with Thomas and Martin around distinguish between what AI is and there are certain things which can be solved through integration, right? Through automation. And yes, AI has got a flavor on top of to bring efficiency, enhance the data, and I think so. I think it's about understanding what problem you're trying to solve and then get excited by. AI is another technology for me, right? Really, it's an exciting piece because what we could do used to take time, a lot of effort, but now it is faster. So definitely AI is a capability that we all should be excited. But I think you need to understand what your problem statement is, what is the use case, and what outcome you're trying to deliver, right? Literally outcome. So as a TMC, we try to provide an outcome to our clients and customers where we see it's pretty much is delivering value, not just we as a TMC, but other TMC, other agencies are excelling is enhancing their services, enhancing their support using AI. And I can quote you an example. Like we talked about the chatbots and we talked about that. So I think if you can make your chatbot integrated with your ecosystem, that it can make the decision, it can make self-servicing enabled for your customers, for your clients, for like yourselves, then that's where the benefit of AI is. So I think we just need to understand whether it's an integration problem or whether it's an automation problem. If it is not that, then can I use AI to do that at artificial, which is where an intelligence comes into, is like, can we intelligently make a decision without a human being involved? So where I see, coming back to your question, where as a TMC we are saying is that we're not seeing that as a cost reduction to start with, at least I can talk about CT, and where we're seeing is that we don't have to hire more. We can scale. We can service more. We can improve our quality of services to our clients. So that's where we are seeing the benefit.
Okay, wonderful. And I love the point you made around that autonomous decisioning. And I feel that we are moving in that direction, perhaps not just yet in terms of readiness, but the tech capabilities are very much available today. Thomas, I want to come back to you and understand if you could share with the audience how exactly Accenture is applying AI to its corporate travel management today. We just talked about using AI to solve problems. What problems are you trying to solve?
I believe that our problems are not different than any other buyer's problems. So our focus is on cost and leakage because those are the main drivers. Cost through reshopping tools or unused tickets management. This is perfect solution where AI delivers the scalable and the numbers which can be actually counted and put in a savings spreadsheets. And then there is also nudging to nudge the travelers to the right decisions, whatever, if it's cost-effective decisions, whatever is sustainable decisions, as long as they fit in within the travel policy, within the agreed cost. However we want to frame that, the nudging driven by AI, that's for me, it's a magic wand which can really make wonders in the travel program.
So these are multiple tools that you have implemented.
Yes.
The nudging versus identifying leakage.
Yeah. There's always has to be a complex different solutions and different tools implemented to have this outcome of and addressing different issues. Those are the most emerging for us, and this is where we are focusing.
Mm-hmm. And you had shared with me previously that you, Accenture, has actually contracted directly with these third-party suppliers in order to integrate these tools. You're not relying on your TMC, on their tech stack. Could you perhaps talk us through that procurement approach and why it's important for Accenture to kind of manage and own those relationships?
I believe you answered the question. It is important for Accenture to own and manage those tools. And it is our philosophy to contract all the suppliers, TMC, online booking tool, even GDS can be contracted directly. So because this gives us a real influence, we are a true decision makers. We can decide how we want the tool to work for us, and we have the final vote. Not, with all the respect, the TNC, which we could potentially buy it from. So for us, that's the most important part. Of course, there is the whole procurement process behind that, which is usually painful, especially these days when whenever there is a new technology introduced, there is a whole bunch of different legal aspects behind, which we can discuss a little bit later.
Yeah, we will definitely dive into the
awesome.
compliance later on.
Yeah.
But just so the audience understands the importance of this procurement strategy, Thomas, could you give us a sense of the size and scale of your travel program? So how many travelers?
Sure. So we have, in general, we have more than 800,000 employees. Out of them, about 350,000 are active travelers, meaning they have like at least one trip a year. That's how we define. As a benchmark for 2019, pre-COVID, as that's the most relevant numbers, our spend was nearly $2 billion a year. So it's
Significant.
I would say so. It's significant.
Great. Thanks for sharing that, Thomas. I have a question now for Martin and Apurva, and that is around one real use case that you can share with us where AI actually has delivered either a measurable value in your service or in your clients' programs. So, Martin, perhaps we can start with you.
Yeah, for sure. And Thomas, even I didn't realise how big your travel program was. As I was talking about something else earlier, it was quite funny. One thing Thomas said that I really liked, AI doesn't eliminate the need to make a decision. AI should be enhancing the capability to make a smarter decision. And I think that's really important to think when we adopt technology today, influenced by AI. So our biggest use case right now is we have this theme, and I could go on so many different tangents right now about partnerships, open partnerships, and how Thomas has done it, because for years I've been talking about Thomas's model. And I think it takes a lot of partners to come around the table for Thomas's purpose, challenges, opportunities, etc., to solve the problem. It's not there to be solved by one technology partner. And I think the way Thomas has done it is just absolutely brilliant. So we're taking a real direct approach where our clients are controlling the spend before it becomes an expense. And what that means is that through AI and through data integrations, through things like Reshop, we've talked about in Burst Reshop, we've talked about the TMC integrations, we talk about other direct integrations of travel data and spend data, is that we're putting the power in the hands of the traveler and the employee to make smarter decisions before they even submit that travel information for approval. And this is where it's all changed. A lot of things used to be done post-spend. And actually, let's just be fair, there's a lot of things still being done post-spend where people are capturing all these audit risk and these travel risk and the compliance risk and the vendor risk. They're all catching it in the background when it's too late. AI has actually helped us bring all of that forward to capturing it right at the point of when the information is hitting the system. So when the individual is going to expense that report for a trip or for a conference or for an event or for a client meal, they can actually make all of the right decisions that's 100% within compliance before they submit. That's where AI is playing its biggest role right now, and that is live. Right, so that's not one client example, that's all of our client examples. And that's where we're seeing that upwards of 70% of time spent, and that's where we're seeing that 90% of compliance achieved, is before it actually is even submitted to hit the manager for approval, then hit the general ledger when it's too late.
Great. And Apurva, do you have one example you can share with us?
Definitely. I've got plenty. The one I can talk about is our product Scout, right? So AI is not new for us. We have been in the journey for almost 2 years, and Scout is our chatbot, AI-driven, call it assisted agent, basically. So Queensland was hit by Cyclone Alfred last March 2025, and that kind of had an unprecedented surge in the consultant request. And you know that we can't have thousands of consultants just ramped up like that. So this is where Scout just took over cancellation, customer-led cancellation, which was around 343% uptake. The changes, like, the booking changes were around 150% increase, and Scout did that without any errors and issues. So this is a tangible example I'm talking about. And also, I think what we saw is that the customers are asking for self-service rather than spending a time on the call, 20, 30 minutes or however it takes. They're happy to do so. And one of the customer has provided that they were able to do kind of make the changes under 2 minutes instead of waiting for somebody to assist over the phone. So these are the tangible numbers. In terms of benefit, we are saying is 20 to 30% uplift in productivity and our customer service overall.
Great, wonderful. Do we have any questions from the audience at this time, just with regards to some of the products that our panelists have talked about, or the Accenture travel program? Not just yet. Okay. I will continue because at BTN, we recently conducted a global survey around the use of AI in corporate travel management. My colleague Elizabeth West will be presenting those comprehensive results tomorrow. But I do have a few tidbits that I will share preemptively because it really works into our conversation. Generally, we found that AI use is very much around piloting. Corporates are still testing as opposed to widespread integration and execution. We are seeing a shift from insight to execution where AI is enabling sort of real-time policy enforcement and workflow optimization. I think that's been a promise for a very long time. We are beginning to move in that direction, but from our survey results, very much the most widespread applications at the moment are focused on chatbots and automating reporting. So they're almost the easy wins. So we had 52% of the corporate buyers we surveyed saying that they are using traveller servicing and chatbots. So that's AI-based traveller servicing. And 44% are using AI to help in their reporting. However, these were not rated as highly effective. So that's an interesting point. Expense auditing, in fact, this is something Martin might be happy to hear, and fraud detection, while it's being used, and this is AI-based naturally, while it's being used by fewer than 30% of the corporates we surveyed, were rated as tools with a much higher effectiveness score, 4.07 out of 5. So they seem to be working. In terms of some of the emerging use cases, travel disruption management, sourcing an RFP, so that was something that you mentioned Scout is helping to do. Sourcing an RFPs, and then risk monitoring. They're still largely underutilized by a lot of corporates in their travel management, but definitely show a lot of potential. And, we know those tools exist. We saw them earlier today. We've talked about some of them now. But let's dig into compliance and regulation. Thomas, you've already pointed towards, the need to get your legal and IT teams involved when you were looking to implement AI. They raised some concerns about data privacy and compliance. And I think those concerns were echoed even in some of the questions our audience shared previously. Tell us about your journey. You previously talked to me about the fact that you had to do a lot of testing even before contracting began, and you had a very lengthy checklist. Share the details with us.
Sure. So Accenture is an AI-driven company, but because we are supporting our clients with AI services and solutions, we are applying the same rules and the same support to our internal needs. So whenever in any existing supplier or new supplier, even if there is a shade of AI, the whole team, legal, IT mix is stepping in, supporting us with the contracting. And as I said, doesn't matter if the existing supplier within existing tool is introducing AI capability, the deployment is stopped until it will go through all the testings, all the additional contracting, and then it can be introduced. And yes, during the RFP processes, we are already requesting the access to different tools, and the different teams are having an access to it to test it properly, however they want. Don't ask me for details. I know the outcome of it.
So that's your internal IT team
Yes,
doing that testing?
Yes, that's all our internal IT, and together with legal teams. And then, as you mentioned, there is a checklist schedule which needs to be signed. And don't ask me details now. It's more than 15 pages document, which
so quite thorough.
Again, yes, yeah. We are really deep diving into ownership, accountability, data storage, data privacy, because the travel data are so delicate and so sensitive. There needs to be applied the highest possible amount of checkups there. That's why we are looking at that very, very, very closely.
So is it safe to say that this has influenced the way you contract with suppliers? I mean, do you have any specific terms or clauses that you now include in your contracts with regards to AI?
Yes and no. It did not influence much the contracting process, because in Accenture, whenever we are contracting any kind of services, the contracts are thorough, and we are deep diving there, addressing everything what is possible. Trust me. Some of our suppliers learned that very painfully. But at the same time, when there is a AI layer, yes, we have this additional testing, we have the additional schedule, which is just another layer to the contracting itself, which in my opinion, it's good, but it's a painful process, of course. But we want to be sure that the data of our travelers are safe, are tested. We know where they are stored, how they are being managed, what kind of AI model is treating them, how the AI model has been trained, is it training other models. So those are all the topics which are addressed within those AI schedules, which are embedded into the contracts.
Thank you for sharing that. And you are one of few, I must say, Thomas, because again, going back to the research we conducted, we found that policy and governance, while emerging, is not universal. So just 29% of the organizations we surveyed said they have a formal AI policy around travel. Naturally, adoption of policy around AI grows if you have a larger scale program. So I guess in a case like Accenture's, that's absolutely necessary. But Apurva and Martin, I wanted to get your take on kind of regulation and compliance, and whether there are particular markets, particularly here in Asia Pacific, where concerns might be slowing AI adoption. Martin, let's start with you.
First of all, what I'll say to Thomas, your reference to some vendors had to go through pain. I think it's actually and yes, and Burst does provide services for Accenture, but I think what that benefits the rest of us, once that is done, that is actually now applicable to all organizations who become partners within Burst, for example. And that should be the same for all TMCs, other technology partners as well. As for, is there more regulation in particular markets on AI? You know what? I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one. I really don't know if there is. What I can tell you, there's more markets in Asia than probably anywhere in the world that has more complexity by market that we need to be thinking about, and not just AI compliance, but other compliance as well. Travel compliance, spend compliance, all the risk that goes with that. So I'd say, yes, it does create more complexity in a market like Asia. But if there's any buyers in this room, I'd be talking to Thomas afterwards because there's a lot of leverage in what he just talked about, because I actually think everyone should be thinking about the AI compliance policy, because this is the risk if you don't. If you go take other solutions that don't necessarily have the right security and the right governance and the right processes in place, you will open up your whole program and company data to risk. And that's the last decision we want to make. Right, so thank you, is what I'm going to say right now.
Yeah,
thank you.
But because of this painful process, of contracting the process of handling data between Accenture and Embers, it's bulletproof right now. So we are sure that the data are safe, and Embers is also sure that they are not threatened by anything. So it's a win-win situation.
Apurva, any
Sure.
thoughts?
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think if you ever scared, like, have you heard about what do you call cookie privacy and GDPR? If you thought that was painful, I think you need to be ready for AI, compliance basically, because the two of the markets that I'm kind of interested in learning about how the market's operating is China and Europe. They're the most stringent market in terms of how AI operates, what the regulations are needed. Even Europe is coming back with, I think by August 2026, it's literally formalized, and the companies have to be complying to the regulation basically. So, and where I see the problem is that a lot of companies has gone and maybe used ChatGPT or something to come up with the AI policy, right? But it's so vague. I can tell you it's so vague, it's so superficial that it does not mean anything to anyone. And I'm not saying that is the case with every company, but I think what is needed is a guideline, right? What does it mean? Like, policies are meant to be wordy, but I think there's a guideline, what in practice. So, and that is a journey we are taking, like just to talk about how we introduce AI internally. And the biggest area where AI is making a difference is the coding technology, the biggest. Coding is, if you look at the top 500 Fortune companies or global 2000 companies, they're all investing into coding. Technology is the first thing they talk about. Of course, there's a support, there's a search function, and other augmentation in expense, finance, medical, and all those things. But the coding is the number one. And to get there, for us at CTM, it took us 8-9 months. Because yes, it's easy to just go to ChatGPT and start asking questions, but we don't know who is using it for what data they're posting, what they're uploading. So we need to have a guardrails, right? And guardrails itself is not going to solve. We need an audit process. I think what is being pushed as a data, who is looking at that, who is saying, oh, no, that is questionable, you can't do that. So I think these are some of the things. So in terms of, regulation is, of course, slowing us down, but the maturity around what AI compliance means also is like, we could roll out AI feature tomorrow. Like, at least from confidence I have from technology perspective, but I don't know if the clients are ready. Like, we need to make the clients aware of what it means, how we're going to share with, third parties like GDSs, any other service providers like. So we need to be in an agreement and transparent about how the data is being managed. And that itself takes a process.
So you mentioned guardrails, transparency, hallucinations. Is trust among your corporate clients an additional barrier? And how are you overcoming that? I'll put that to you, Apurva, and then I'd also like to get Martin and Thomas's take as well, because clearly he's overcome that barrier internally, but trust among your corporate clients.
Yeah, no, definitely. And how we know about is through RFP and some of the engagements. We do run customer advisory boards. Some of the members are here. who have been part of the journey, is that that's where we kind of see that people are excited about technology. At the same time, they are very afraid of saying, hey, what does it mean? Like, what's happening? So I think the idea is that being transparent, like, being transparent, just like any other thing. I don't think so. The client would be, after seeing the benefit or seeing the productivity gain or the cost saving, whatever that outcome they're seeking, they will be afraid of that technology. It's just being transparent. What are we doing with your data? And this is the boundaries. Knowing that boundaries is what I would say we need to be.
So
making
answering
sure.
questions.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we should not be doing anything under the hood, basically.
And you willingly provide that information? I mean, how
Two-
detailed are these questions that you're being asked?
200% is part of our. We are even changing our new onboarding templates, our RFP process, where we are very clear about our products are, and that's why it's taking longer, right? The journey is taking longer because, in fact, AI should be making everything fast. So it's not the actual technology production is taking longer. It's just the compliance regulation. We need to have a process. As a global organization, we need to understand how we are managing that globally.
Sure. Yeah. Martin, have you experienced any trust issues among clients?
Not with us, I would say. And again, I look at Thomas as a bit of a shining light because I have seen it internally with
Right.
organizations.
Okay.
And I think there's an end to my piece on this. And I saw it more recently, which, to be very honest, I hadn't seen for a long time, when there was decision makers internally who clearly wanted to make an advanced decision. And then there was on the finance side, and then there was decisions on the CIO side who wanted to build their own technology. Now, I haven't seen that for a long, long time. And the rationale of that still to this day never actually worked for an organization to go and build their own TMC or to go build their own travel and expense solution. It never happened. And I can tell you now, Microsoft, Amazon, everybody tried it, but it never existed. It couldn't be done. So they actually looked to expert providers like ourselves to deliver these services. That's a lack of trust internal. Now, in those particular cases, it tends to be an evolution over time and a lot of money and a lot of failures to realize they should be looking external to solve the problem. But as for how do you do that, I'd be looking more to people like Thomas to show you through how we got it done, from the AI, from the procurement step, from the travel group, from the finance group, all the way through to the security group and the legal group. It's everyone needs to be augmented in that process. And I think this is where you overcome it. Yeah. And I think for the first time, AI has actually allowed us to augment all of these functions into one goal. Because we're actually all here for the same reason.
Yeah.
But we've been acting in silos for so long and protecting our own space. We actually now get to go based on the outcome, not the protection of what their function is internally.
Right.
Led by the right CIO or CFO.
So a lot of stakeholder management. Thomas, how did you get over that hurdle?
So there are two trust issue aspects, so to say. The internal one, I do not think that internally people are afraid of AI, because they are not. It's more corporate belief in manual processes. That's the best one, because people they know what they do, and this is for sure correct.
The fear of change.
So this change management, it's not an easy piece, but what actually helps to get there is 200% transparency with the supplier. As long as on the contracting level, we are able to guarantee that we can understand how the AI model has been trained. Is it, as I said, is it also going to be used to be trained other models? And can we audit the outcome, like why this particular decision has been made by the AI model? This builds the trust. And with this trust, we are able to remove the other trust issues within the organization to introduce the new tools.
So, are you collaborating with your suppliers around how those models are being built? Or are you just providing your feedback and trying to understand how your data is being used?
In the contract, we need to have information, additional schedule, which talks through the whole process. And then our legal team can say like, well, that's actually not something what we can agree for. So it always have to be, of course, a closed environment models where do not exchange the data with other models, at least not now.
Right.
Maybe in the future it will change, but right now that's that's the closed environment. So yeah, it's a collaborative environment, but we are not collaborating with the suppliers. We want to understand how the model works, and we can provide the feedback and negotiate and discuss how this can be handled.
Yeah, great. So we've talked through compliance, we've talked through some trust issues. I think data fragmentation also presents a hurdle to adoption. Of course, there's an immense potential here for AI to really improve existing processes. Apurva, this is something you and I discussed previously. You talked about some of the challenges related to data fragmentation and the importance of integrating systems. I know that's something that you are currently working on at CTM. Could you talk us through what this all means and why it's important to bring all of these systems together to provide what you described to me as an omni-channel solution powered by AI? And I know that those words put together sound salesy, and I don't want this to be a sales pitch. Just in layman's terms, why is this important?
Yeah, no, correct. So I'll take the example of CTM journey itself, right? So CTM has been pretty good in, like, we take pride in building technology solution where we are able to add value for our clients, right? And we have done in a way that we have been regionally focused, like we operate in EMEA, Asia, North America, and ANZ, right? So our technology is a reflection of that powerhouse that we have in those regions. But at some stage, we forgot that, hey, they're fragmented, you know? This takes a lot of effort to connect the dots, right? And if you put AI on top of that, what will happen, right? It's still, AI is smart till it has the data, right? AI is just like a newborn baby to me. Like, you know, if you have the information, it will be smarter. If you don't have the information, is just as, you know, useless as it could be, basically. So with the AI, and AI is exposing this to us, right? AI is a capability that has exposed, saying, okay, how are we gonna provide our unified solution or unified experience to our customer? And when you started joining the dots, that one connects to this one, that. So we have realized that last year that to progress with the AI journey, and we are progressing. It's not that we are at a halt at the moment. Where we are focusing is internal efficiency. We're trying to guinea pig ourselves on the technologies, and then once it's mature, we are taking that journey onto a product and offering, basically. So back to your question, where we are at the moment, we are bringing our best of technology of building a unified platform, because travel is a complex ecosystem, and kudos to Accenture who's trying to build everything. But
we don't all have those resources, do we?
Exactly. They have got all the resources in the world, right? So with that army of people, they can do it. But not everybody can solve that, right? This is where we come into, or providers like, you know, Embers come into, and we provide a specific technologies around that. So I can proudly say that we are looking at October timeline to have a first version ready, which will be a global, not global or regional, will be a unified platform where we have a profile access. And I think somebody made a comment earlier that OBT is a dying. I'm not sure, I'm not the expert to say OBT is gonna not be there in 2 years' time. But what we are preparing from technology perspective is that we remain open to the channels, basically, which customers are interactive with. When the mobile came, everybody thought that, who's going to go to the web page? Mobile adoption is this low. in corporate, right? OTA, yes, it is here, but corporate clients, for some reason, they like to book through, a desktop application. So I think we are not saying, okay, stop this channel. The way we are building our platform is just a layer, whether it's a chat, whether it's NLP, whether it's a OBT, traditional OBT, whether it's our contact center solution, right? People are trying to make a booking. So it's happening, and we are delivering that.
Thank you for sharing that. So you mentioned September as the rollout.
Yeah, that's our unified platform.
Wonderful. Martin, you mentioned earlier, you talked about the importance of applying AI at the very beginning of the travel and expense program rather than at the back end when it comes to reporting. And I was wondering whether you would be able to share some steps that buyers can take to ensure that their data is AI ready so that they can apply these new technologies and get those efficiency gains that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think the AI insertion, if you think of the workflow of someone going on a trip, and this is sometimes where we lose the value of a total cost of a trip. We look at airfare and we look at hotel and go, hey, we should be negotiating big rates, which we do. And even then, we may not get it 100% right. So the question is, how do we actually find that out faster and not post? But there's also other things to be considered around that, like ground transport is a great example. Sometimes my domestic trip, ground transport's actually more valuable than the airfare. Right, so what is my strategy and on that, on supporting ground transport? Meal entertainment could be even more. I go spend $1,000 on a team meeting. I think I'm running the battery out. Am I? Can everyone hear? Thanks, Thomas. I really ran that out, didn't I?
I think there was some feedback, so our AV team may have just turned it down, but
gotcha.
Please do continue.
So the earlier and we talked about fragmented data. There's a lot of conversation here. The earlier you can get the information into the system, the faster we can put that against compliance and start to put the intelligence around the capture of the information. And one that we haven't sort of talked about is even the receipt. All right, smart receipt is a real thing. The airline invoice, the hotel invoice, the taxi invoice, the meal entertainment invoice, all of these things need to be as accurate as possible before there's a submission of an expense report. And the one that I'll talk about is eFolio, looking at a hotel invoice and then layering not just OCR, which we've all heard about OCR over that, and that's been around for a long time. It's the artificial intelligence of capturing that information down to the nth degree and then ensuring that it's sitting against every layer of compliance within your organization. Right? That is real. Right? That is available today. So for my way of thinking, if I think of a payment card provider like a MasterCard solution, a TMC provider, the faster we can get that information in with the actual receipt capture, which is live, that's where we actually start to see the real output, right? The outcomes, and then we're eliminating everybody from the rest of the process. All right, workflow. I actually like workflow better than process. Actually, rest of the workflow, and that's where we see that uptime of 70% reduced time out of the actual travel and expense process.
Yeah, great. Any questions from the audience at this point? No? Still brewing, perhaps? Yes, go ahead.
I might just add one to what you said about the because we haven't talked about machine learning when it comes to AI.
Yeah.
And it was around the security because, and Thomas started to touch on it, but I think this is another thing everyone needs to think about is, and there's a big conglomerate travel company that an article came out in the last week that talked about, and they partnered with another big conglomerate, and they talked about, is that information that is being captured from a machine learning perspective being used accurately? And I think this is really important. I think, Thomas, you started to allude to it, is that information is your information. That is your IP of how your people behave, what your policies are, and that I'd be making sure that whatever information your providers are sharing through machine learning is within your policy. And I just wanted to raise that because when I saw that article recently, I thought that's a bigger topic way up here. And as we're trying to run day-to-day operations, it's really hard to understand how machine learning through AI is actually benefiting us, as opposed to it might be benefiting a bunch of other people that we don't even see value in.
Yes, and that is exactly what we spoke about earlier around how is my data being used to train an AI model, machine learning AI model. I mean,
Sorry, yeah.
we're using different terms, but it's essentially the same thing. So Thomas has spoken around the importance of Accenture understanding that and owning that data. I did want to ask Martin and Apurva, the AI that you are using within your ecosystems, who owns that data? Is it you? Are you managing it on behalf of your clients? Do your clients own it? How does it work? Apurva, perhaps you can address first.
Okay, I'm going to use the word controller and processor, the GDPR terminology, right? So the owner of the data are the clients, so they are the control of the data, and we are the processor on their behalf. And I think generally there's an agreement between us and them saying, okay, to provide them with the suitable services, they trust us in providing the data. And now in terms of AI, I think this is where we have used more operationally. Once we start going into more of the product landscape, I think we will be full transparent how the data is being used. But most of our training is, because we have not got into personalization yet, and I don't know how others are doing, but we are using anonymization basically, right? Okay. So it's mostly around use as much of anonymized data because, again, we want to be ethically responsible around using the data and how we train the models. And where it is needed, say, for example, Lauren, you want to, I want to know your travel pattern and I want to start recommending you. I think there will be literally in terms condition that do you agree?
Of course.
Correct.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Martin?
I'm the same. The client owns the data. As a technology company, we own the IP. Right? It's our IP. And I think the AI framework, I just come back to because we're not trying to control anyone's workflow or anyone's outcomes. We're trying to enhance it. So the AI is dropping into the workflow model. And I think that's the piece that we're sort of driving really hard right now. So I'd say data is owned by the client 100%, and then the technology is owned by the IP is owned by the technology companies. But it's in partnership that we enhance it.
Of course.
Right? It's in partnership.
That collaborative approach. Yeah, once again. I did have another question here for Apurva. I'm going to skip ahead because I think it really makes sense when we're talking about data ownership, and you talked earlier around the importance of an integrated system. We at BTN have been reporting about MCP recently, so that's Model Context Protocol. Hands up, anyone in the audience who has heard of that acronym, yet another one that we can add to our long list in corporate travel and understands what it means? Okay, I saw two hands. So perhaps, Apurva, could you talk us through, again, layman's terms,
exactly,
what this actually means and why it's important for corporate travel managers to understand the implications it can have for corporate travel in the age of AI?
Yeah. Sure, let me try my best to explain that technical term.
A few minutes only.
Yeah, okay. No worries, no pressure. Model context and protocol. So it is a technical term around model is what you're already using, like ChatGPT, large learning language model. That's called model. And then your context is in what context you're operating. Like if you take a travel industry experience, like, say shopping, are you looking for a hotel, are you booking, that's your context, right? And protocol is a standard, basically. What is a standard around that? So I think Anthropics is the company who came up with last year, and they made this MCP, an open source standard. What it means is, in the simplest form, is aggregation of content, like GDSs, right? They take care of your problem, like, no matter whether you're getting from this airline, that airline, low-cost carrier, hotel, car, tours, travel, everything is aggregated. All the complication is taken care behind the scene, right? So think about MCP is, it's a concept where somebody is in charge of aggregating all these content from different providers and providing a standard way of communicating. In, I think, travel, it is picking up. I think I've not seen anyone other than Sabre publishing some MCP last year. But yeah, others are picking. So does that kind of make sense, guys? Like in a simple term, what are you talking about? There's so much content, right? This airline, that GDS, this
So it's
hotel
a
content.
connector layer.
Exactly, in a standard way. It's kind of simplifying the complexity that one has to do. If you have to connect to 20 content providers, say for example, Accenture decides to build its own booking engine, they need to connect to 200 providers, right? Without an MCP server, they will be doing like a handcrafted solution with every integration. Whereas what MCP does is just abstract everything from AI perspective, basically.
Help to standardize.
Yes.
Make it easier. Okay. We only have a few minutes left, so I wanted to go back to Thomas. At the very beginning of this session, you talked about some of the challenges that AI is helping you to solve around cost savings, leakage, nudging travelers. Now, I know you've only just very recently introduced these tools, but I'm hoping you can talk to us a little bit about how you are looking to measure the ROI on these AI investments that you've made. So while you may not have some tangible stats you can share with us today, maybe some of the objectives that you're hoping to achieve, metrics of success that you will be tracking.
Sure. So there are three areas of focus. It's, as I mentioned, the cost, the leakage, and the efficiency of the processes of handling different processes. So, as mentioned, if AI can free up 70% of the time during the expense report, that's the time which we are counting to measure the success. Same leakage, which is I believe we all struggle with leakage outside of approved buying channels. Airlines are doing great, hotel not that good on the other hand. So as
hotel
long-
attachment rates, that's something
yeah,
you're looking at to track?
Exactly. And the nudging is an excellent tool to actually move the travelers to the approved buying channel, and this also allows us to track that hotel attachment rate, how this is changing. So this allows us actually to measure this metric. And then there is a cost, which is by all the others driven.
Quick follow-up on the nudging. Where is that nudging taking place? In the booking tools? Do you have notifications sent to travelers' mobile phones?
I do believe, and that's also our philosophy behind all the tools, that you have to remove the friction. Sending travelers to a different place to do whatever, that's not effective. Everything has to happen in one place. If your company's strategy is mobile phones, I know, down, but there are companies where travelers are doing really great with phones. If it's notifications on the phone, great, target that one. If your company is web-based, have a web-based online booking tool, it has to happen there.
Right.
Without that, it will be just a noise.
I think we need to meet the customer where they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
We only have a few moments left, so I wanted to get some final thoughts from each of you. Looking ahead, perhaps, Thomas, where you see the Accenture Travel program evolving in terms of AI, maybe some sort of agentic AI experience in the future?
Definitely agentic AI helping to make the decisions and probably executing those decisions. Definitely not with
Always with the human in the loop, or
always
without?
No, always the traveler itself is always needed there, but on the other hand, we'll always have to remember that for us the travelers are the travelers, but those people, those employees, they've been not hired to book travel. They have a very different job. We need to free up their time so they can actually focus on their job, and the booking of the travel process should be as short as possible, as intuitive as possible. And I believe that AI will drive us right there where the promise for like decades, 3 minutes booking time will be actually delivered by AI very soon, maybe even shorter. I'm happy to see that below 60 seconds, which I also heard some time ago. So I believe AI will drive us there.
In our final seconds, a comment from Martin and Apurva. What should buyers realistically expect from AI in the next 12 months?
Well, it's what you can expect from it now, just further advanced. You're looking to eliminate the process, control spend, control the vendor compliance, the governance. So that is absolutely 100% achievable today. The 70% figure is what you should be looking for in the next 12 months to move to 80 and 90% less time spent on things that should be redundant through AI, through machine learning, through us understanding how we act as humans, and then the artificial intelligence will start eliminating even further process. So I think we should be looking at 70% as a benchmark of less time spent, and we should be looking at 80, 90% as the next level of what AI can help us achieve in the next 12 months.
Great. Apurva, expectations for the next 12 months?
I think unified experience, I think that I see as the biggest. And to the point, what Thomas mentioned is that not every user is a travel expert or consultant. How do we make it seamless, intuitive for them? I like that True Trip guy talking about gamification. Why can't we build that within the platform rather than something outside? So those kind of things, lifting the user experience, simplifying it, be more relevant to the travelers.
So collaboration is key, co-creation potentially.
And co-develop as well. Co-creation and co-develop. This is where I think we can leapfrog, because I think data is the key, where, the booking finishes here, then the data is needed in the company's ecosystem. How do we start integrating? How do we start sharing more? How do we co-build the solution? So that's...
Yes, I have many more questions. We are now officially over time. So I would like to thank my panelists, Martin, Thomas, Apurva, for being so generous. Thank you all for your attention. If you have any questions, please do approach. Thanks again, and please do share your feedback with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.